Hey everybody, how's everybody doing? I hope everybody's doing great. Guys, we've had the shop a little over a year now, and I just wanted to make a quick video and share with some of you guys on some of the things that I still like about the shop, some of the things that if I had to do over, what I would do differently. So let me share that with you right quick, guys. So guys, one of the things I definitely like about this shop, and I'm glad I did, was this apron out front. Now this is only 7 foot. The shop originally came with just a 2 foot, and I got with the contractor when he got here and I had an additional 5 foot added. I wish my funds would have let me come on out to about 10 foot. That would have been great. But guys, I'm gonna tell you, just having this 7 foot right here, it's been a lifesaver. I've had stuff, as you can see, in the shop, and I was able to pull up. I've actually done a few oil changes right here, changed a tire or whatever. It really has come in handy. The only thing that I wished I would have did different, if funds would have allowed me to come out 10 or even 12 foot. But I'm so thankful that I have this little apron right here. It's been a lifesaver. So guys, another thing that I'm glad that I have is these type trusses with your bottom support. I did, when I was looking at these buildings, I did see them without that. I guess you could get them either way. I'm glad that I got mine with the truss that you see with the bottom, rather than not just having the piece up top. So hanging the lights and doing other things made it so easy, plus the peace of mind of having the support. When we had our Category 4 hurricane last year in September, I felt like that was a real good reason why this building withstood it as good as it did. Another thing I would have did differently is funds would have allowed me to back then. Instead of having the 10 running horizontally, I would have had it run vertically. And the reason for that is there would have been connections in between your studs for that, plus your 10 running up and down. It is stronger structurally. It is stronger. It takes more 10, obviously, and the connections in between the studs in between would also be more money. But then you wouldn't have those gaps like you see where you see at the end of the building there. It's not that big a deal. Buildings get dusty. So your trim piece, you would have such a smaller little crease right here with the 10 going up and down. But if I had the money and went to do it again, I would probably go with the bracing that comes with the 10 being vertically. So guys, one of the things that I'm glad that I did do, I'm still definitely glad that I did the rat ledge where it drops down. Also with the 1 foot footer that's all the way around the edge of the building. You can see where my anchors, they're solidly secured and they're inside a little bit off the edge there. That way you know you don't have to worry about your concrete breaking or busting, versus if you didn't have that rat ledge, you're going to take a little bit more of a chance of some concrete maybe cracking and splitting. And I'm glad that I went with the rat ledge. Some companies don't do it. Quite a few do, but some don't. So that's something you might want to definitely make sure and check into with yours. Of course, if it rains real hard, it will push some water underneath the door. And I have been in some very expensive steel buildings, some mechanic shops that I've worked in, and the same thing happened there. So I feel pretty good about that. I've had no leakage up here, around here. In a previous video, you seen where I had a pretty good leak around this window. And I went outside and found out where they didn't make the greatest cut on that one corner. And we sealed it up with some RTV, and that right there has stopped it. Now, of course, if you get a blowing wind, the way these buildings are designed, you can see it will blow water in there, but I really hadn't had that big of an issue. And I'm in Florida and we get some pretty good storms. So I'm pretty satisfied with the water control. I don't really have that big of an issue with the water. Also, guys, there is an upgrade that I plan on making. I want to give you a quick shout. I want you to look in this crack right here. If you look, you actually can see my roof right in there. That's a pretty big gap. And it actually, as the door rolls over, it gets bigger at the top. I'm gonna order a kit. There's a company that makes a kit that you can install that has brushes that's supposed to help with bugs and dust. But they have a pretty good size brush, and that thing, the way it works, it extends out and the door rolls up against it. And by the brush giving, it makes it not difficult for the door to be open or shut, but it also gets rid of that gap right there, just having it wide open to keep rain or anything else from blowing up in it. I will be installing that at some point in the future. It's just not a priority right at the moment, but like I said, like you can see all the way up to the roof. I'd like to get that, you know, that gap closed off. So guys, another thing, after having this building for a little over a year, I'm definitely glad that I got the 10 by 10 doors. I'm glad I did that. And you've heard me rave about this back door, this 10 by 8 back door. It's just been a blessing. You very rarely, even in the middle of summer, right now, you can see there's a breeze coming through this building, and it's fairly calm today. But the fact of the matter is, even during the blistering hot summer, it wasn't that bad in here. As a matter of fact, my electrical friend that gave me some advice on my lights and all, that's actually his ladder that he let me borrow. He was here, and he even made the comment how cooler it was in this building. He couldn't believe, in the dead of the Florida summer like it was, that it was very, very bearable in here with no insulation, none. And speaking of insulation, that's the other thing that I would have changed. If I would have had the money, I would have had at least the insulation, I guess it's like a 1/4 inch thick. I would have liked to have had that, because when it rains, it does get very, very loud in here. It gets extremely loud if it rains very hard. But you know what, guys? Not every building's going to be perfect. And I actually did check in to seeing what it was going to cost. And they were going to charge me an additional, it was like $3,500 to do that. And like I said, I was just working on a limited budget, so I opted not to do that. And so far, other than, you know, if you're in here and it rains really, really hard, you just have to deal with it until it quits. And so far, I've been in here when it's been pretty loud, but after a while, it quits. Guys, probably one of the things that I most probably would have definitely, if I could go back in time and change, I would probably go back and get the roll-up doors. Yes, at the time, these doors, they're a good bit cheaper and they work well. I just done a video previously doing a little maintenance because they were getting kind of hard and to open and shut. This one didn't want to quite work, but we made some adjustments and sprayed the silicone. There's a whole video on that, and just completely put them just about like they were when they first got installed. They were so easy. So we're good to go on that. But the thing that I wished I would have did now, at least on these 2 big doors, I could live with the one here, the smaller 10 by 8, but I wished I would have got the doors that opens with the chain. Yeah, they were a good bit more expensive. And when you build a building like this, you know, if you were in my shoes, you had a limited amount of money you was working with, it seemed like that helped you get into this building. But guys, if there's any way you can afford it, I would definitely, on these bigger doors, I would definitely go back in time and I would buy the doors that have the chain that you just pull the chain and it rolls the door up and down. That is definitely one thing I would change. Even though these doors work great, That's the one thing that I do wish that I would have did differently for sure. Another thing that I'm glad that I did, I let my wife pick out the color of the building. She was kind enough to let me get it. So I told her, hey, you pick out the color. And she did. She picked out this tan, and this is a clay. And I really like it because it's dirty, but if you look at it, guys, it really doesn't look that dirty. But trust me, it's dirty. You get up on it, it's dirty. But it's one of those colors that just really doesn't show dirt that well. So that way, if you don't have time to clean it or pressure wash it or however you clean it, it doesn't look that bad. So I am pleased with the color. I am glad that I went with the silver roof because the galvanized, we thought previously about going with the colored roof, like a white or whatever, but we went with the galvanized, and I do like the color. I don't think I'd change anything about the color of the building. Guys, another thing that I'm glad I did, I'm glad that I went with the 12-foot walls. It made it a little more challenging to hang the lights, but with my buddy letting me borrow that ladder, that made it a piece of cake. But I'm glad I've got the 12-foot walls because the next project we'll be building a mezzanine right here because I don't want to stack stuff up on the floor like you see what I'm doing. I want to have a upstairs where I can put shelves and stack my garbage up there. I've already got some electrical run in case I need it up there. I got me an outlet up there. But I am really glad. I could have saved a little bit of money by going down to 10 foot. I could have saved some money, but other people that has come, neighbors and all, that's looked at my shop, and I told them what my plan was, and they also agreed that that was a very wise choice. So guys, another thing that I'm very, very glad of is my concrete. I'll walk around and show you here. You're going to see no cracks. This is a 4-inch slab, like I said, with the 1-foot footer around the edge. There's no cracks. This was done by Clark's Concrete in McAlpin, Florida. Luckily for me, I had already had some friends that had him do some work for them, so I had some inside knowledge. When Keen's, the company that I bought the building from, Keen's Buildings in Live Oak, this was their guy. Thank goodness. Because when they recommended him, I had already asked a couple of my friends that had used him, and he was going to be the guy that I asked them if I could use, and they already used him, so that worked out great. As you can tell, no cracks, nowhere. So big shout out to Clark's Concrete. Very, very satisfied with this concrete slab a little over a year after it's been poured. So guys, after a year, this is nothing more than a mobile home door. It's gave me absolutely no trouble. I'm not crazy about the metal on the bottom. I wished it could have been cut out. And I actually asked the guy, but he was a little hesitant. And I guess because of the way the building is designed and set up, I can understand him not wanting to alter it. That could open him up to, you know, some maybe safety liability issues or whatever. But believe it or not, I figured that would be one of the first places my wife would fall over when she comes in, but she hadn't. It really hasn't been that big of an issue. I'd rather it not be there, but guys, it really ain't been that big of a deal. It really ain't. Because most of the time, because my shop door and personnel door is so close, everybody just walks in and out these doors anyway if they're open. Mainly, all I use that door for is to unlock it and open up these doors. So that door really hardly gets used. So all in all, it's not that big of a deal for me. All right, guys, there you have it. I just want to throw a short video on here. It's been a little over a year since we built the building. I just wanted to share with you guys a couple things that I still like, some things that I would change if I had to do it over again. I just wanted to share it with you. Maybe some of you are fixing to build a building like this in the near future, and maybe this information be helpful to you. So there you have it, guys. For those of you that like and watch the videos, thank you very much. For those of you that have subscribed, guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I cannot wait to see you in the next video. Have a good one, guys.